If you ever tried to export a movie from Toonly to fit on Instagram story or post, you discover that the screen actually doesn't match and it looks very weird. Today I'm going to cover how to change that and how you can actually export Toonly animation for Instagram stories, Instagram posts, or Facebook stories or posts. Of course, for Facebook, the dimension will be a little bit different, but it's the same principle as in the case of Instagram. So I made here a very short animation. It's a woman that walks into a coffee shop. She buys something and she leaves the scene. I made this animation strictly for this tutorial, so it's a very short 5 seconds animation in order to be able to do that. Now, the size of the screen here and what we're going, it's very important to know what you're going to export it as. So if you go to the export button and you look, I have the resolution set at 1920 by 1080. And that's important to remember because all the templates that I use are for those dimensions. So if we want to export this animation for a post in Instagram, you will need a guide to know how to shrink or crop the video properly. So I created those guides. The guides are actually available for you in the description of the video. You can download them there, and I'll bring this guide over. Now, when you import the guides, please import them into the objects so it gives you more control over them and you can still have the background scene. Once you bring the object into place, you will notice that it's much larger than the screen itself. So by using the magnifying glass here, we're going to make it smaller to be able to see what we're doing, and we're going to shrink it to fit inside our scene. Now what's very important and what I care the most about is the height. So I'm looking to fit it as perfect as possible in between the top and the bottom, and I will center it as much as I can. So once that's done, I'll enlarge a little bit, and I'm looking, and you can see I still have a little bit of space here, so I'm enlarging it just a little bit more. And now it actually fits properly. Once that fits, I'll enlarge the frame just by clicking and dragging onto it, and then I'll click on it, right click, and for the object settings, the in effect will be instant, the out effect will be instant, and this way we'll avoid that bouncing effect or pulling an up front effect. Now when you're playing, you need to keep in mind that the red areas are areas that will be cut out of your scene, so make sure that everything that happens in your scene that you want people to see happens actually in between those boundaries of the red overlay. I created this semi-transparent so you can actually use it. You can see that I put at the beginning my character in the red area. I know that it will not show in the final video, so I use that as a guide as well. Once that's done, we'll export it. Very easy and very simple. From resolution, we'll make sure it's 1920 by 1080, and we'll click continue. So once you exported your Toonly animation, we're going into DaVinci or any other editing video software. In DaVinci, you're going to the media tab, right click, import media, or Ctrl plus I on your keyboard, and we'll import the Insta post. Open. Once you import it in here, we'll move to the third tab on the bottom, and that will be our cutting tab. If you can't see your media post here, please press media pool. It's on the left hand side and you'll see this one happening. If the media pool is white, that means you can see it. Right click on the Insta post and insert clip to timeline. Create. Now we have it. First of all, let's make sure our settings are correct because you can see it doesn't look correct. So we'll go into settings. The settings button is located on the right hand side for the project. From custom, we'll move to 1920 by 1080, and that's the size of our video as we exported it, and make sure that the time frame rate and the playback frame rate are the same. In this case, it's 30 and 30. Save. Once you save, you can now see your video properly, and we need to adjust the video to fit into an Instagram post. Now an Instagram post is square and it's 1080 by 1080. That's the reason we have these red marks on the side, so we know anything that's outside of the main screen or inside this reddish area will not be shown in our video. So we'll go to our Fusion tab. The Fusion tab is the fourth tab or the middle tab on the bottom part of your screen. Click on it. Once you enter the Fusion tab, you will see the media in, media out. We'll not rename it because we'll not have a lot of nodes. We'll have just one node for this video. So first click on the media in and then press Shift and Spacebar on your keyboard. And you'll get this menu. This menu actually shows you all the available tools for you. It's a very nice shortcut. What we need today is a crop tool. So we'll click crop, and once we have it, we'll double click on it and click add. This crop tool now, as you can see, it's in between the media in and media out. You know it's connected because you can see it moves with the lines. And first and foremost, we need to resize it. So from 1920 by 1080, we need to make it 1080 by 1080. So the 1920 we're going to change to 1080. Now we have a square. However, you can notice that we have that red part in our video as it starts from the left hand side of the screen. So we'll need to offset or move where the camera is viewing it. In order to do that, we have the X offset setting. You just click on it and drag it slowly. Once the red part disappears, you know that you are set correctly. So it is 430 in this case. You also can enlarge the image by pressing Ctrl and roll your mouse middle wheel. And you can notice I have a little bit of red here. I do not want that, so I will move it to 420. And now I still have a little bit here. Let's do 425. And that's actually perfect because I barely can see. I can still see a little bit of red on one side. Let's try 424. That's perfect. So now that we do not have any more red, you can see our size is 1080 by 1080 and there is no more red in the screen. The next thing we need to do is actually change our project settings to fit this new size, because if we look on the display, you'll notice we have two black areas that have been replaced instead of the red areas that we had before. So right click on the setting icon that's situated on the right hand side of your screen, bottom right hand side. Just give it a second. And now here the time resolution will change it to custom. And instead of 1920, we'll put 1080. We'll save that. We'll give it a few seconds, and here you go, the two black areas disappeared, and very soon this red line will turn into blue, and we know that it rendered also our Fusion composition. Once the rendering is done, we'll press play, and we can see a very smooth animation in our space. Then we go to the rocket. We'll name this one Insta Story. Select the location where you want it to be saved. Make sure the format is MP4. And then check that the resolution is custom and it's 1080 by 1080 and the frame rate is the same as you set it of 30. Normally it should happen automatically, however it's better to check just not to be sorry. Add to render queue. And start rendering. Once you start rendering, it will take a few minutes or seconds depending on how long your video is, and you have an Insta post ready to be put up on Instagram. In order to put it on Instagram, if for example you ever try to upload something from your computer to your Instagram, except videos that are the large ones, you notice that it's not possible to do it. You need to do it from a mobile. So my suggestion is take your video and put it up in a cloud like Google Cloud or the iCloud, and then bring it to your phone from there. It will be much easier. If the video is much larger, it will be very hard to email it to yourself. So use that as a suggestion. Now we'll move to see how we're going to do the same thing. However, in this case, instead of an Insta post, we'll do an Insta story. So for our Insta story, I'm going to use the exact same clip as in the Insta post. However, this time we have a different guide. For the two guides, you'll find them in the description of this video, and you can download them. Of course, they're for free, and they're complements from Vox preset. Now we'll bring this one into the scene. Again, you can see it's much larger, and we'll make sure that actually it fits top and bottom. Just want to double check. So now you can see it perfectly fits. However, you also notice that the E from the word coffee, it's actually a little bit hidden. So we'll move it to the right in such a way that actually it captures that bit. And to make sure that's in the proper position, don't forget once you import the new mask to make it instant. And let's see how it looks. So she's in the frame, the word coffee is in the frame. It seems all to be good. We'll export it again, 1920 by 1080. That's essential. We'll continue and we'll see in a second after the export happens. So once you have your Insta story exported from Toonly, we'll open our DaVinci or any other editing software, as I was mentioning. First, we go to the media pool, right click, import media, Insta story. Now, just before that, I actually have our settings for this project. Timeline resolution is 1920 by 1080 with a time frame rate of 30 and a playback frame rate for 30 as well. If you need to change that, don't forget to save. Once we have our clip, we go to our cut menu. That's the third menu on the bottom. Right click on Insta story and insert clip to timeline. You can also drag the clip to the timeline. It's as easy and it does the exact same thing. Once you import it, click on it and let's go directly to our Fusion to actually adjust everything we need. Once in the Fusion menu, you'll notice we have the median in and the median out. We'll click the median in and shift space to pull our select tool menu. Select the crop. If you don't see, just type in crop and it will show up. Click on it and add. Once we have the crop, we'll need to adjust it to actually leave only the part that's in the center of our image. So the sizing for this one will be 610. And now we need to move the camera to show just that part. So that will be 755. Let's double check that we have a little bit of a line here. Let's try to do 5756. 57. Perfect. And the HL. So 758, it will be the setting for this one. So the X offset, in this case, it will be 758, and we'll have an X size of 610, a Y size of 1080. Now, once that's done, we also need to add another node, and that will be a resize node because we need this much larger. So click on the crop. You have the size node just here in the center. You can see it described with two squares with an arrow in between them. So click on that one. It will add it for you here. However, you'll notice that your image now is very distorted. The reason is that the width and the height are actually inversed. So we'll change the first one to 1080, and the height, it will be 1920. And now we have the correct size for this. We'll click Save for the project, and we'll go into our Cut tab to see our result. Once in the Cut tab, you'll notice that we have on the two sides of the video, we have a lot of black screen. If you'll export it like this and you'll upload it, the proportions will be correct. However, it will not show correctly on your Insta story. So in order to do that, we need to resize our project. So go to settings of the project, just right on the right hand side on the bottom. And again, we need to change something here. An Insta story size is 1080 by 1920, so it's the reverse of what we actually have. If you change it directly here, it will not change it, so we need to change the timeline resolution as well. Click on the menu, go all the way to the top and click Custom. Change the 1920 to 1080 and the 1080 to 1920. The frame rate will be the same, and save. Give it a few seconds for it to work it out. And once it's worked out, you can actually see that the two black sides of the video actually disappear. Wait for it to render. The blue line will show you when it's fully rendered. Now, if you enjoyed this video and you learned something new, don't forget to press the thumbs up for the video. That helps us a lot with YouTube. Also, don't forget to subscribe to be up to date, as we do post a new tutorial every week. Leave your comment below with what tutorials you want to see next. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you in our next video as well. Have fun, enjoy.